When I was about 16, I kind of knew who my divine masculine would be energetically. I always had a vision that he would have blue eyes and black hair. But little did I know that my actual divine masculine does have blue eyes, but he has dark hair. So, before I begin, I do want to introduce that in this twin flame journey, this is a path towards my enlightenment. About 12 years ago, I had a soulmate who I thought, was the one. And we had a really deep love connection that I've never felt with anyone else. And with this connection, it was like that fairy tale romance type, relationship. What happened is that he decided to remarry his ex-wife after he came back from Iraq. Yes, he was in the military. And the hard part was that when he came back for his 2-week R&R, in the first week he told me that he wanted me to be his wife. But the next week when he went back home to visit his daughter who was having a birthday, he came back a married man. And that tore me up for years. And so he came back and apologized to me. And I didn't understand, how could someone tell me that he loved me and wanted to marry me? And then the next week, he came back married and told me all of this. After that, I had a hard time of letting that relationship go. It took me 3 years to get over that situation because that love connection was so deep. It was so surreal. And I kind of fell in love with him, in the first or second day of meeting him. And I could not find anyone else that could match up to that love that my soulmate has given me. So after time had passed, my soulmate actually divorced his ex-wife, and he tried to come back towards me, but, I didn't budge. He broke my heart. How could I take someone back after, he kind of left me out in the cold and married someone else? So not even like a month later, my soulmate met, his current wife, and they have been married, for a long time now. I want to say about 9 years. And so that situation, that was, my soulmate's decision to choose his karmic partners, where he could have chosen me, but he chose to go with other people. And so for many years, I never married during that time, let alone, I've been divorced for 14 years, guys. Okay, 14 years. And this was 12 years ago when I met this soulmate. Like 5 years ago, I did meet my soulmate, and he told me that he was going to get separated from his current wife. We met each other for about a 2-week period, and then after that, he ghosted me. I never saw him again. And so to this day, my soulmate is actually still married to his current wife. I suppose about in the same year where my soulmate had left me again, I went into a very deep depression. I could not find anyone else who could, give me that love, that we had. I've tried so many times, and I just could not find, that same love. A friend of mine, who was a friend in my high school days, he is actually a monk. And we had some discussions, and he told me, he said, I need to learn to love myself first. And I really didn't understand, what he really meant. And I'm like, yeah, I do love myself. I don't understand. I love myself all day long. But when I truly, really reflected on that, I really did understand that I really didn't. And so I really, worked on myself at that point. And that's how I, really became interested in Buddhism. Because in Buddhism, it's all about self-love, self-respect. All the feelings that come, up, that is pertaining to our happiness. That is what Buddhism is all about. And I became curious, and so I decided to study Buddhism. So that was 5 years ago, back in February of 2014. So, moving on. In the same time frame, I had actually started talking to my Divine Masculine later that year. I believe that it was in the fall or winter of 2014. That is when I had a first contact with my Divine Masculine. It was actually through a dating website. And at that time I lived in North Carolina. I never met my Divine Masculine. This was all, through texting. And, prior to, talking, to my Divine Other, I always had a feeling that my Divine Masculine was not really living in North Carolina. And I always had this feeling that, they were either from Pennsylvania, New York, or Ohio. I always had this feeling that, they were always, that person was up north somewhere. I didn't know where specifically, but I knew it was up north. I had a thing for northern gentlemen. So, and I wasn't too far off my rocker because, my Divine Masculine is from Pennsylvania. And so, but anyhow, I was talking to my Divine Masculine in the fall and winter months of 2014. I came to find out that he was actually leaving North Carolina to be deployed to Okinawa. And at the same time, I was talking to a karmic who was from New York who was going to move to North Carolina. And so my logical mind was thinking, well, me and my Divine Masculine had so much in common, but, he's leaving, so I didn't want to, move, that connection more than where it was because I knew he was leaving. And so I decided to choose my karmic partner who was moving from New York, coming to North Carolina. And so, again, that was, around the year of 2014, moving into 2015. In February of 2015, I met my karmic partner, and my karmic actually helped me a lot. He actually helped me to quit smoking. I started to eat healthy, and prior to meeting him, I actually had a fear of travel. And so for the longest time, I could not drive more than 30 minutes away from my home. I had a phobia, and, that's another story. But upon meeting him, I got out of my fear of travel. And so I'm very thankful, for my karmic. And so that lasted for about a year. And, while I was with my karmic, in April 18th of 2015, I decided to travel to New York to see the Karmapa, which is the guru of the Karma Kagyu lineage. And that is where, I took my vow or empowerment from the Karmapa, and that's when I became a Buddhist. I am so lucky, I have received my Dharma name, and my Dharma name is Karma Devotion, or Karma Mogu. I really do love that name because I feel like I am devoted to my karma. And so, and I'm also devoted towards this twin flame journey too, which I'll get into as my story unfolds. So, moving on, I dated my karmic for about a year, and I found out he was a married man. So I broke up with him in February of 2016. Shortly after, in March of 2016, I went to Pennsylvania to get Teddy, which is my pug. He was my replacement for my karmic, and it's also from near where my divine masculine is originally from. And so it was so nice to travel to Pennsylvania. It's really beautiful. I went through, where they have, oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank here. I'll get back to that. But anyhow, that experience driving up to Pennsylvania was really neat, and that's where I got my baby from. And so Teddy was my companion for a long time. So moving on, in April of 2016, I had reconnected with my divine masculine through Facebook. In 1 month, I fell in love with him. Again, I've never met my divine masculine in the physical. It was always through, communication online. Upon, communicating with him, I started to exercise. I started to work on myself. I started to learn more about myself. I started to work on my jealousy and my attachments and expectations. I had so much expectations on my divine masculine, and I knew that it was a little burdening, towards him, because my divine masculine was so focused on the physical. And so he had told me many times that he is not the type to wait for anyone. He's all about the here and now. As for myself, as becoming an awakened divine feminine, it was really hard for me to grasp that concept, because in my mind I already knew that, he was my divine masculine, and I feel like, he already knew. He's the one who actually found me first. He also went through his karmic, karmic dealings, which I'll get into a little bit. Some of the things where, I recognized that he was my twin was that, we both love big families. We both drown in the ocean. We both scratch our heads in the same way. We both clear our throats in the same way. I am a Buddhist and he was a Taoist. And so, as far as philosophical, understandings, we both are very similar. We are both healers. I'm more of a metaphysical healer, and he is a medical healer. We both work with other people in a community sense, and we love working with the community. We both like to drink a lot. He loves alcohol, and with me, I drink a lot of water. We both actually like the same beers, and the same brands, actually. We both have moles on our faces that mirror each other. We both like the same music. We love to dance, we love to read, and we love to cook. And we both have gone through marriages in a similar fashion. We both visited places, in the same places, but, we might have missed each other. But I've noticed that whatever places that we visited, we've been to, in the same area, which was so surreal. One of his friends that was in Okinawa was my next door neighbor for years. And so it was just so surreal. Like, this is a big planet, right? How could my next door neighbor be his good friend? And I just can't get over, like, how we know, like, similar people, but we've never met each other. So even when we did stuff, like, at one point he visited the waterfalls, and at the same time I visited waterfalls. We both like to camp, we like to hike, so, the list goes on and on. And so this is the lead up, to the karmic partners, okay? So after time has passed, I decided to book a flight to Okinawa back in January. And not even a month, a karmic pops up in his life. All the buildup, all the pent-up feels, that, we were, I guess, messaging, each other, all went down the tubes when someone in the physical in his space had appeared. And it really crushed me because at the same time, you know, my business was failing, and my life in the physical was crumbling. You know, I didn't get to meet my divine masculine as I planned, and I felt like the divine was intervening. You know, I felt like the divine said, no, you know, you cannot meet your divine masculine right now. He has to go through his karmic situation. And it was so hard, you know, for me to even, you know, think about that, you know. And I kind of knew that, you know, he had to. But at the same time, I wasn't enjoying it one bit, you know, because it really broke my heart. Well, that karmic relationship didn't last very long. And so, you know, it took a long time for my divine masculine to get over a soulmate relationship. So, you know, I kind of had this feeling that it didn't last. So I reached out to him, and he told me, you know, the situation. And, you know, as a divine partner, you know, I tried to help him heal from the situation. And so in July of 2017, my divine masculine confessed to me that he sought me as, you know, his future wife, you know, and he said that, you know, he saw us doing future things together, and, you know, he wishes that he could fly me out there, and I wanted to too, but, you know, because of financial circumstance, you know, we weren't able to do that at that time. Like, he was able to come travel towards me. That was in August of 2017, and I had met him for the first time, and he was supposed to be here for a week. That was the time of Mercury in retrograde, and so I'm not going to explain what that is, but that's the period of time when he came to visit, and he did help me move in. So I had moved from North Carolina to Washington State, you know, back in 2017, I believe. And that was when I took a leap of faith. I let my ego down. Again, like I said, I've never met my divine partner. And I moved 3,000 miles from the East Coast to the West Coast. I've never been to Washington State in my life. I just picked a spot and I moved there. And I'm thinking, like, you know, this whole twin flame journey is very different than a soulmate connection, for sure. This is nothing like a soulmate relationship. Whereas in my soulmate relationship, you know, it was all butterflies and fairy tales and, you know, romance. But, you know, with my twin flame, it was very difficult to come into union with him. And, you know, in our first meeting, you know, we went to a local restaurant where, you know, we had the view of the Cascade Mountains, you know, overlooking like the water, and it was so beautiful. Like, Washington is so beautiful. I always loved mountains and trees, and so, like, you know, coming from little North Carolina up to like the ginormous mountains of Washington, it is just so beautiful. Like, going cross country was an experience I'll never forget. And I saw so many beautiful things, you know, in my journey, you know, going towards the West Coast. So, you know, my divine masculine and I, you know, we had our first dinner, and it was really nice. I'll never forget it. And it was in the summer, so the summer months in Washington are very short-lived, from what I realized. Nothing like North Carolina weather, for sure. And so, you know, it got very cold very fast, you know, as the sun went down. And my divine masculine helped me move in. And the next day, he had to leave. And it was a situation because his kids were in Okinawa, and his neighbors were watching them. And there was something, you know, to the effect where he had to go back to Okinawa. So instead of a week, I got 1 day. I had 1 day to meet my divine masculine after, I guess, of knowing him from 2014 to 2017. That was 1 day. And it really tore me up because not even a week later, he went back to his karmic partner, and that tore me up even more. So, there was a lot of things. There was a lot of, karmic situations. As a matter of fact, my divine masculine went through many karmic partners. It wasn't just one, it was many. And it all happened while, he was living on that island. And so I feel like even though that island was paradise, it also was a big learning lesson for my divine masculine's growth. And so in December of 2017, my divine masculine showed me my fault, and that's where I learned a lot more about my attachments. I learned a lot, guys. I have spiritually grown from this connection. I used to be jealous. I used to be needy. I used to be attached. I'm a Scorpio moon, and so I am a very jealous person. I am not going to lie. And so, with that, I have learned to let go of expectations. I have learned to let go of outcomes. I have learned to let go of a lot. I am very thankful, towards my divine other in dealing with his karmic situations and showing me, how I can be an empress and letting go of attachments. And I've learned that by letting go of, situations or outcomes, that made me a much better feminine than any other person. And I feel like my divine masculine, really sees that I am truly one of a kind. And so, moving forward, my divine masculine moved here in May of 2018. And when he first came, I remember seeing him again. He was all dressed very nice, and when he dresses up, he looks very dashing and charming. I'm not gonna lie, he looks really nice. And, we saw each other for the whole month of May. And then again, another karmic flies in to see him. And, we kind of ended our connection there. And then, another month passes by, and then we would, reconnect. And it's been off and on since May of 2018 up until September, of 2018. After my divine masculine had his birthday, lo and behold, another person flies in, another karmic flies in to come see him, and we had ended it, as far as I know, for good. At that time, I knew he was coming back, but my divine masculine, wanted to end things, and I'm like, okay, all right, you can go. And, I let him go. I wasn't holding on. I truly, let him do his thing because I knew he was coming back. And this time, it wasn't a month, It took 2.5 months before my divine masculine reached out to me, and the way that it had happened was through divine intervention. So my divine masculine receives a book. It was a book written by a monk. It's called No Mud, No Lotus, and he receives this book from Amazon. And so he had texted me and was like, did I send him that book? And I'm like, no, I didn't. And I tell you what, if my divine masculine didn't receive that book, it could have been a lot longer to where my divine masculine would have reached out to me. And so I am so thankful for the divine intervening, for pushing this connection forward, because I knew through faith and trust, I knew that we would reconnect. I just didn't know when. And I was so thankful because that was early December. Upon meeting him, or before meeting him, okay? My soulmate from 12 years ago actually contacted me like a month after, we had separated, me and my divine masculine. And my soulmate, expressed his love towards me again. And this time, I told my soulmate, which is, I guess, a karmic partner. I told him that I no longer had those feelings for him anymore. That whole fairy tale romance, relationship was dead. And I realized that because I knew how much love I had for my divine masculine, even though he had ended it with me, not knowing when he would come back. I ended it with my soulmate for good, and let him know that, I am no longer interested. And that's when I realized that I had to release all of the pain and suffering I've had in my life in regards to love. Because, yes, my soulmate was the one who led me to Buddhism, which helped me to heal and to grow and to become enlightened. But it was my divine masculine who truly showed me the way towards enlightenment. He has helped me awaken and so much more than I can ever express or imagine. And it's a soulful connection. It's not like that flighty love connection. It is a deep soul connection. So this is very different than that love relationship I had with my soulmate. That was more emotional, but this relationship I had with my divine other is so much deeper than that. And I just really can't explain with words what that really means. And so, after I had met my divine masculine again back in December, that is when I decided to start my channel. I actually felt called, to serve the community. And prior to that, let me backtrack. Back in October of 2018, I had a divine feminine, who was a man who was embodying the divine feminine energies, reach out to me. And he had asked me about the twin flame connection. And so I was able to help him with his situation on a daily basis. I was kind of his twin flame coach. And I realized that I had really helped him come into union with his divine masculine, which is a female. And so when I saw that I was able to help him with his twin flame, connection, I had this feeling that if I could help him, then I can help so much more out there who really needs the help. Because I can see, how the relationship dynamic was working between the two of them. And I could see, like, what, he really needed to work on to come into union with his divine partner. And I could also see, like, what his partner was doing and what she needed to work on to come into union. And so every day when, he had a situation, I was there to help him and, to kind of give him, some guidance, whenever he was feeling down or he was going through a situation with his twin. Even when you come into union, guys, it is not going to be the end, okay? Just because you come into union doesn't mean that's all the help you ever need, okay? There will be more trials and tribulations when you come into union, because there's still, like, that healing process. And that's how I came to create this channel, is to help all of you guys, in your twin flame journey. And so that is where I'm at today. I feel like, as I am doing my mission, I am actually much closer towards my divine masculine. I am in communication with my divine masculine. I see him physically also. I am still dealing, with karmic situations, both on his side and on my side, but I see that, we are both working on it at this time. Divine feminines and masculines, this is just my story. It wasn't easy, okay? I met my divine masculine in 2014, or I knew of him. I didn't meet him until 2017. It's been a long time, guys. If you've been on this twin flame journey for a few years, that's just the beginning. There are people who's been in this, for much longer. So it really depends on how fast, you can grow, okay? How fast you can become enlightened and awakened. The sooner that you come, into your awakening, the faster that you can come into union. And just know that this partnership is not just, for love, okay? It is that's general, that's already a given. But the purpose is for you to come into mission, to help other people on this planet to grow, okay, to become awakened, so that we can pave the new way to the new earth. And so that's all I have, guys, for my twin flame journey. I stay positive, I practice Buddhism. Buddhism is what makes me, who I am today. And all the guidance that I'm giving you on my channel is from my Buddhist philosophy. I am not just making that up. As I'm reading those cards, okay, I'm using my knowledge and intuition, okay, by giving you philosophical sound advice from Buddhists that dates back many years before, before the time of Jesus Christ, okay? This knowledge has been withstood from the test of time. If you want to be happy, if you want to be on the path towards enlightenment and become awakened, just follow my videos, okay? Whatever guidance I'm giving you, if you truly practice it, you will come into union.